Hey family, Malik Yoba's back in the news, and you guys, we gotta talk. I met him on a set quite a few years ago, and he was super cool.
Yoba means last of the slaves, a new generation. If we were in Africa, you'd be kings and queens, princes and princesses.
That's awesome.
And I believe that. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't
no
like,
doubt.
oh, that's a nice
Right.
thing to say. It was like, oh,
Right.
okay, thanks. Like,
No, yeah.
no, like, so I'd walk around with a certain amount of pride.
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
know, which is really important.
So yeah, that's the Malik Yoba I knew, and fast forward to today, and I still do not understand which message he's trying to convey. I'll explain that part in a minute, but listen to this.
So, what's up, America? I decided that I'm no longer a black man, no longer a person of color, BIPOC, none of that. What I am is a non-white man. And I think we should all just start calling ourselves non-white. So, they're gonna have to figure it out. No DEI, no BIPOC, no references to our blackness. So we just all walk around like, I'm not a black man, I'm a non-white man. I'm a non-white woman. I'm a non-white, all of us. Asians, Latinos, black people, everybody. Call it what it is. I'm just non-white. And let them rebuke that. Let them refute it.
So, I dropped out of college, didn't finish my master's degree, not the smartest person in the room, so I had to look that term up, BIPOC. And here's what I found.
Have you been wondering what the heck does BIPOC even mean? I totally understand. There are so many words popping up left and right, and it can be difficult to keep up with everything. So I'm just going to give a quick rundown of what BIPOC means and stands for. So BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. And primarily this word has become extremely popular, but prior to this time, you would often hear POC, people of color, being used, really interchangeable, but definitely been seeing a drastic shift to BIPOC being used to describe the community of color, especially in the United States.
Remember when Black educators cautioned you all to not overuse the term BIPOC? Remember when Black educators especially cautioned you all what it means to use the term in every situation? Remember, especially in 2020, when people were talking specifically about folks like George Floyd and Philando Castile and Sandra Bland, how when they kept saying this was a BIPOC experience, people tried to express to you all the concerns about using that term for something that was more specific. How this goes in every direction, just like when all of the backlash was happening against Asian communities during 2020, how people, including Black activists, also told you all using the term BIPOC is going to cause issues because it's applying situations to groups of people that it doesn't apply to in the same way. It's going to minimize somebody's struggle, or it's going to assign incorrect responsibilities. That's happening right now.
Now, Malik also mentioned DEI, and of course, you know, Dr. Umar's video popped up. So, here's that.
DEI did not benefit black people en masse. It benefited a couple of token blacks. And I'm sorry, y'all gonna lose your little token benefits. But DEI did not benefit the masses of African people. Barack Obama is the first president to use the words diversity, equity, and inclusion in his DEI initiative that he signed in August of 2011, mandating that the federal government take steps to diversify, include, and guarantee equity for minorities. Somebody help me understand how Barack Obama's DEI has benefited black people in these past 16 years. Help me understand. Affirmative action is not the same as DEI. Affirmative action was destroyed.
Hear me out, because it's coming from a place of love and encouragement. Black people, can we stop bugging out about DEI and affirmative actions being removed? Why do I say that? Because when you look at the facts, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, the number one benefactor of DEI and affirmative action initiatives is white women. If you go under the ethnic minorities tab, we are last. Do you hear me? The number one ethnic minority who benefits off of DEI and affirmative action is Latino and Hispanic Americans. Number two, Asian Americans. Number 3, Native Americans. Number 4, individuals with disability. Number 5, veterans. Number 6, LGBTQ plus community. And Black people are last. What are we mad about? What are we mad about? How are we mad that we got convinced that something was for us that was never for us, doesn't affect us, but it's about us? Pick and choose what to get mad about. How about we support each other? Support Black-owned businesses.
Yep, that's true. And the further I investigated, the more murkier, is that a word? The more murkier it got. And I wondered if this is what Malik Yoba was truly talking about. Was this his angle?
BIPOC non-binary representation changed my life. Without seeing non-binary identity in a way that was resonating with my identity, I probably wouldn't be here living my best authentic life as they then read that Asian MB. And the harsh truth of that comes down to the lack of connection with what the media stereotyped and glorified what non-binary is supposed to look like in their eyes. The lack of both representation and education on BIPOC history, culture, and non-binary identity aided in the conditioning that Blackness and non-binariness cannot mix. It's something that isn't spoken about a lot, and I wanted to be open and show that you're not alone with having to go through the process of unlearning this. But also for awareness, your failure to acknowledge our existence feeds into this whole system. A system where society thinks that non-binary is small, white, androgynous or masked person with a short undercut kind of hairstyle, and this in itself restricts what non-binary is. It's not meant to be policed. Non-binary is outside of the binary because it is non-binary. Thanks to online platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Tammy, YouTube, I started seeing and meeting people from the community, and it really helped me have a deeper understanding of my own identity.
I do find it quite interesting that it took for Donald Trump to be president for a second term for people, especially white women, to understand that DEI never meant Black. It literally was a program that means diversity, equity, inclusion. That's what DEI means. And the people who benefited the most off of DEI initiatives were not Black people. They were white women, Asians, at some points Latinx community at times. And when I got into working with DEI programs at my last organization, I did it because I saw the numbers and I saw that people who look like me, especially Black women, were benefiting the least from these programs. And newsflash, every opportunity that I ever got, I didn't get it because I was Black. I got it because I was better than the other candidate and I had merit. I'm an educated Black woman, so good luck, you guys.
Valerie, focus us back, and we are digressing.
So yeah, gosh, I'm very anxious to move on from this conversation. I really am. But listen. He made himself content. He inserted himself into a very hot button item, a hot topic. And so now we have to talk about it. I can't tell you what's in the man's head. I don't know. All I know is I miss seeing him on the screen because he's a wonderful actor. And it's really, really sad that, in this day and age, we can't always take people for what am I trying to say? Anyway, listen to this audio and you'll understand why I'm stuttering, because this is a very uncomfortable conversation to have, especially when you can't say what you want to say because of people and platforms. Everybody's so sensitive, and we have no rights to express ourselves. So enjoy this, and if you like the dirty version, you can find it on my page. Okay? I love you to life. Bye.
You're unworthy, you're a disgrace. But I got a lot of love. I got thousands of people who said thank you.
Yeah.
Because my child, my lover, my daughter, my son is in pain. And so we want to vilify each other because we don't understand each other. But if we do this and you make it safe, and I say I love you, I see you, I feel you, I don't care if you do this, that's you.
Yeah.
You need to do that. Just like Black men need to walk in the street and be like, yo, what? Because that's his protection.
Yeah.
But if he stands straight and he speaks with perfect English, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And so I've recognized through the vilification and the condemnation that my mission remains the same.
Episode with an audio clip, and you said that we missed the point. So again, because I will probably extrapolate certain things and then create smaller sound bites, can you just make it very, very clear what was the point that we missed? And then I just want to ask you specific questions
The point
about the
that
language.
we missed is that we're talking about human beings being honored and dignified, and people want to talk about all kinds of other nonsense. That's the point. And so that's the point that I was making. You said it was hard to communicate what was going on in the studio. What's going on in the studio, if I'm in a room of 100 people, the law of average says that a percentage of those people, I don't know what it is, 30, 50, 20, 15, whatever, a percentage of those people are the folks that like to spread hate. Right? We know that in any given room, 100% of the people aren't feeling the same way. And so I was encouraging people to feel a person and not read some words and make an assumption of a person, because people will do that. You know, people do that all day long. People love to gossip and spread untruth and all those things. And so I was leaning into the audience and making sure that they felt me, because I know that there's no way I could be in your space and you're going to say this person's just not going to happen.
Gotcha. And also you said that it was possible due to what went viral that you would probably have to redesign the definition of heterosexual and possibly the word. Do you want to revisit that?
It was an interesting conversation. You know, when you talk to trans men, you know, that is women who or people who were assigned female at birth, but never felt that they were female and done what they needed to do to transition. It's a very interesting conversation about masculinity. Like, what is masculinity? What is heterosexuality? And so I think that we have all these labels that, and black folks in particular, feel quite comfortable attaching to ourselves and staying in a comfortable little box and say, I'm this, I'm that. You can only be two, chocolate or vanilla, that's it. But the world is filled with at least 31 flavors. And so I think that it's an interesting conversation to have with trans men who look at masculinity from a very different perspective. And I think in general, one of the gifts of the transgender community, I think, to the community at large, is the opportunity that they have to see the world through to aesthetics. And they get to have a perspective that, you know, the average person could never have. Like I heard, back to trans men, I heard, there was a question that was asked of 5 black trans men. And one of them said, the question was like, what did you learn, or what's the biggest surprise since you transitioned to become a black man? And he said that I can't call the cops. Like, that's a perspective, right? For a black woman, she may not necessarily feel that way. But for a black man, 9 times out of 10, we're not calling the cops.
Right. Now, a few more questions, and then we're going to take a break and bring the judge in. I wanted to ask you, because I think a lot of people, I had conversations via focus groups, and a lot of people were confused about the language, as was mentioned in the first audio. And so we understand heterosexuality as it has been presented to us, but when it relates to someone being trans attracted, it then becomes very blurred. And so I was just wondering, don't want to identify, is it just they don't care about labels? They don't like how society handles certain things?
I can't speak for people, but I will say this. Nobody likes being called stupid, right? So if you do things, somebody, you're so stupid. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You're stupid. Why'd you do that? Right? Everybody has a sense of who they are, whether it's a full sense, whether it's a sense of what someone else has told you who or what you are, but you have a sense of who you are. And so when other people think that it is their job to tell you who you are, that's one of our first mistakes. And so I think the language is a problem when people don't listen to the person who is asking to be referred to as a certain way. So whatever a person prefers to be called, that is what we should call them. Period. Whether we agree with it or not, it is not our place to tell them that, this is who you are. Now, within reason, right? As long as someone's not hurting someone and, misguiding or misleading. But, one of the things I've learned is that we will never have 100% comprehension of any subject. And as for as many people who said that they were confused about the language, there were far more people who said, you know what, thank you so much for clearing up so many questions that I had. So I think sometimes you have to check the person who's saying the thing to you. So what are we doing?
Yeah, I was told something different. I thought I was going to have more time with you, which is why I took a different direction. And then we also started late. So, I was just kind of thrown off. So everything was kind of rushed. So I apologize for that.
Well, I already said the fraternity the president of the fraternity, Michael Crystal, and his leadership did not keep their word and communicate with me privately about whatever decisions we collectively were supposed to make. And so they decided that they would, announce, or someone leaked, or however it got into News One and distributed that I was removed from the position of being the national spokesperson for the mentorship program. And what I was asking the brothers to do, I said, we live in America where we're presumed innocent until proven guilty. There will never, ever be a guilty charge related to any allegation made about me, because it's simply not true. That's just pure fact. It was an opportunity for someone to target the first public heterosexual male with a profile that says he's going to stand up for a community that has, is often traumatized. And so hurt people. And so someone screamed out for attention and they got it. And it came at my expense. And back to your question earlier about what have I learned, I've learned through this experience, that part specifically, is that I've experienced the persecution and vilification I've experienced is a pittance. It's paying a pittance compared to what an actual transgender person has to deal with every single day of their life. So I've learned how callous we could be, and that whatever persecution I get pales in comparison. But I'm going to still stand with my brothers and sisters because I'm also empowered through this process.
All right. And congratulations. I really applaud you, and thank you for being the alchemist that you are. And big shout out to your dad, who you said was really a true inspiration for you. 323-646, welcome Judge JoeBrown to the show. 323-646, your mic is live.
Well, hello, good evening, good afternoon.
Hello,
depending on
Judge.
where you have to be.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're getting out of here just in time, because I've been getting all of these inputs from Twitter. People are calling in, and there's some questions they wanted responded to, but I guess you can't do that. But in synthesis, they're saying, considering the destruction of the family, particularly the black family, how can we be interested in a group that has chosen their own misfortune? So
I don't
there are
think
a lot of questions to be asked, and the other one goes basically to, if black people have suffered all that they have suffered, how can they afford in good conscience to be paying attention to a group that's destroying their family structure? So,
well, it's black people. It's black people. It's black people, black folk, white folk, Asian folk, human folk give birth to folk that come out with all kinds of realities that they did not choose. A child who was born, with Down syndrome, a child that is born with 6 fingers, a child that is born with vitiligo, a child that is born to grow to be 7 feet, did not choose that. But once we are here, we all have to make a decision on how we are going to treat the human beings that we fight to bring forth in this world. And so the things that destroy the black family, whether it's, fatherlessness, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's poverty, whether it's abuse, all of those things contribute. The fact that a person is giving birth to a child that feels in their heart, this is who I am. When I was 13 years old, I gave my teachers my autograph. I said, I know that I'm going to be famous, and I know that I'm going to make a lot of money because I want to contribute to the world and make a difference. I knew that as a kid. No one had to teach me that. No one had to tell me that, and no one can talk me out of it. So, for the people that I know, not the ones that I make assumptions about, but the people that I sit with and I listen to and I hear their story, whether it's Asia, whether it's Africa, whether it's the Middle East, wherever I've been, and I sit with my friends over the last 3 decades for sure, and gathering the stories of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. A person who chooses to live their true self are people that I respect. It's those of us that choose to live conservatively by the rules and guidelines of other people who tell you this is right for you. Those are the people I have a harder time respecting. But a person who can sit in their individualism, like Michael Jordan, sat with what he knew was true. When his coach told him he wasn't good enough, he's like, okay, I'm going to show you what's inside of me, and I'm going to bring that out, and I'm going to be a champion. And there are people, and part of my job is to help those that don't understand see themselves. Because as I spoke to a minute ago, I was with an Army captain last night who has a command, an Army officer with a command of 900 people. I did not know he was a trans man. We talked about his work at the Pentagon and his 20 years of service. That sounded like every other person I've ever known that has served in the military. Only at the end did he reveal that he indeed is a trans man. You cannot tell me that that person is destroying a family. You cannot tell me that that person is unworthy. And so as a people, until we're willing to do that, I can't have conversations that go in circles around telling someone else that they are wrong for their choice, for their life.
Okay, let's say this. When you have to deal with a family, there's some obligations and things that you have to do whether you like them or not. So what you're doing is asking black people to say these people who do what they like to do rather than rigorously adhering to what they should or ought do is more important than our circumstances. And this very attitude, this laissez-faire thing about the rules, what is expected of you, duty, honor, obligation, are the very things that are tearing down our communities and our families. So it gets down to this. They're not the only ones that have suffered this. I can remember several high school teachers that were determined to help colored students be happier in life by ensuring that they got to work with their hands rather than pursuing an academic career. That's just being part of a life. Lions, tigers, grizzly bears, stuff we used to like us for a nice dinner snack or a lunch. So, I mean, humans have always faced adversity. But the main thing out there that is really sticking in people's craws is like they used to, because everybody's too nervous, but we're bombarded by this advocacy day in, day out, 365, 24/7. And
that's actually not true.
What you're talking about, sir, sounds suspiciously, it is activity. No,
you're talking.
That's
So,
not what
I
we're talking
mean,
about. No.
Well, what are we
You're doing the
talking
same
about?
thing. You, my friend, are doing this. I just told you about a commanding officer in the Army. I just told you about a commanding officer.
And what you're trying to do is you're pushing your own position. You say that you had your first
I'm not. Are we gonna have a conversation?
16.
Are you going to tell me? Are you going to tell me what I'm doing? Or are you going to ask me what I'm doing?
You said. I've been listening.
No.
To
are
you
you
for
going
half
to
hour.
tell me? Are you going to tell me? Or you?
Well, sir,
I don't
did you
think
intend to say what you said?
I don't think you did. I do not think you heard me.
I didn't? All right. Fine.
You did not. You heard me through the lens of what your own experience is.
Well, that's all we can do.
I am a man who has never dated a transgender
Ladies
woman.
and gentlemen of the jury, you are required to filter the evidence through your own observations and experiences in life. That's a charge to a jury. And that's what happens when somebody determines whether someone...
Okay.
That is the way human beings determine anything. And based on my observations and experiences in life, sir, I heard what I heard. Now, you're entitled to that. But why should we switch over to supporting your position? That's the crux of the matter. When so many would say we don't need to.
But see, here's the thing. I've never dated a transgender woman. Okay? I haven't had a relationship. So people have made assumptions about me pushing an agenda through the lens of their experience. I'm saying who are in love with these women more often than not. And through the shame that you're referring to, because of the conservative nature of our...
Wait, hello? Did something happen?
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
248-867 is your mic still live? 248-867?